The New York Times called you the most surprising surrogate for her. You're someone who's known Donald Trump for a long time. You used to actually give him political advice. And I wonder, when you describe your relationship, I was looking at this today in 2016. I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, we at the town hall with Harris this week, we heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office.
It's just now it's talking point. And I just don't see, you can see he's declined. It's just reality. Father Time is undefeated.
Once upon a time, in a land called reality, two businessmen were friends. One became president, the other stayed sane. Now their bromance has crumbled faster than Trump's diet resolutions. Watch as Mark Cuban spills the tea on why Trump's tariff plan is as solid as a chocolate teapot. It's a tale of economics, ego, and one very orange villain. Grab your popcorn, folks. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Do you recall when Donald Trump and Mark Cuban were best friends? Yes, neither do I. It may surprise you to learn that at one point, Cuban believed Trump was more attractive than a brand new set of Dallas Mavericks jerseys. He exclaimed, "He's saying what needs to be said, and this guy's got some good ideas." Cuban was all but prepared to form a Trump fan club.
Do you think voters see it that way? I mean, obviously it was a major issue for Biden. He's not in this race anymore because of it. They don't see Trump the same way?
No, not at all, because Trump never is intellectual about anything.
I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, we at the town hall with Harris this week, we heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office.
And to say that we've become the garbage can is insulting to every single American.
However, Cuban then made the decision to investigate Trump's business activities in greater detail. Mark, it was a bad move. It's comparable to when you decide to look up your symptoms on Google and then become certain that you have a rare tropical illness. As he probed further, Cuban's face most likely looked like he had eaten a lemon coated in wasabi. Those small fissures in their friendship grew into chasms the size of the Grand Canyon as Cuban gained more knowledge. They were plunging into a pit of mutual loathing rather than falling in love, which was like watching a rom-com in reverse. That abyss was deeper than Trump's spray tan, let's face it. Cuban was no longer able to remain silent. He began accusing Trump of being unethical, which is equivalent to calling someone a giant poopy head in billionaire parlance. Folks, it's not exactly a praise. To put it another way, Cuban said, he's not a business person. Aw, coming from someone who is essentially Simon Cowell's Shark Tank counterpart, that must be painful. But there's still more. Cuban's criticism of Trump's business sense was not the only thing he said. He attacked Trump's trade policy in full-fledged professorial fashion. Cuban claims that Trump's trade policies have become increasingly absurd over time. It seems like Cuban is merely watching the tower shake while Trump has been playing economic Jenga. Hold on to your MAGA hats if you felt that was harsh, because Cuban wasn't finished yet. Trump's scam-aversity was one of the terms he began using when discussing Trump University. I mean, you're in trouble when your detractors rename your university. It would be as if Harvard were dubbed the overpriced nerd factory.
The New York Times called you the most surprising surrogate for her. You're someone who's known Donald Trump for a long time. You used to actually give him political advice. And I wonder, when you describe your relationship, I was looking at this today in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, the weave is on his head and in his mouth and it's not working. He's slowed down. There's no question about it. I mean, this is our country. It's beautiful. We love it. I'm still part of the older generation, love it or leave it. Having known him for 25 years, early on in the early 2000s, you can have a legitimate conversation with him.
The true kicker, though? Cuban began describing his old friend with colorful terminology. He has completely lost it over Trump, labeling him a jagoff. That's essentially calling someone a jerk, but with more Steel City flavor for those of you who don't speak Yinzer. Our favorite orange-tinted billionaire appears to be back at it, and this time he has a plan so clever it will make your wallet cry. Trump's most recent brilliant idea? A hefty 60% tax on goods from China. After all, what better way to make America great again than to make everything more expensive than a toilet seat decked in gold? But cling to your MAGA hats, because Trump's message isn't appealing to Mark Cuban. Trump's tariff plan is actually being compared to trying to fix a leaky faucet with a sledgehammer. Aw, that must be more painful than a botched spray tan. However, Cuban isn't merely making fun of others, he is cautioning us that we will all be paying exorbitant prices for our beloved devices and gadgets if Donnie Diapers follows through on this brilliant concept. Imagine needing to purchase a new iPhone only by taking out a second mortgage. Regards, Trump, but there's still more. More alarming than a fire truck at a marshmallow roast are Cubans. According to him, employment losses could result from this tariff issue before you can say you're fired, which, let's face it, happens very quickly in Trump's world. Cuban claims that 40 million jobs rely on trade. If Trump gets his way, that's a lot of people who might end up on the unemployment list. And keep your hairpieces if you felt that was awful. Cubans caution that a trade war might result from these measures, like the stuff that contributed to the Great Depression. You know, no great deal, isn't it? Just the possibility of economic chaos on a scale not seen since the days when people used newspapers as comforters. At least we will have incredibly costly Chinese goods to keep us warm, though. What's at stake here then?
You don't hear him talk in depth about policies at all. And so you can get by with just sound bites. You can get by with being loud and boisterous and salesy.
You know, when you look at your surrogacy for Harris, you've been out there stumping for her, making the argument for her.
It's just now it's talking point, talking point, talking point. And I just don't see, you can see he's declined. It's just reality. Father Time is undefeated. You don't ever think of Donald Trump and think, wow, that was really an in-depth conversation he had with somebody.
Trump's clever strategy, however, could result in price increases for everything from your favorite devices to the clothes you wear, Cuban said. We're all broke and depressed instead of fighting for our lives, as if Trump were attempting to turn the Hunger Games into a reality show. Watching two billionaires compete over who is more knowledgeable about money is like that. The Donald is on one side, brandishing his tariffs like a magic wand. On the other hand, Cuban is equipped with enough economic jargon, graphs, and charts to make your head spin more quickly than Trump's toupee during a hurricane. Okay, everybody, let's tie up this economic circus like a dollar bill burrito. More than a math teacher on steroids, our boy Cuban has been educating Trump. The worst part is that it's not simply two wealthy men fighting it out. All of us average Joes and Janes are impacted by this tariff tango. What should a clever cookie do then? Well, don't simply sit there in the budget truck's headlights like a deer. Get your education on. Talk to your neighbors about it. Yes, even the one who still has his Christmas lights up. Follow some fancy pants economic news and visit local forums. It's similar to being a detective, except you're solving where did my money go cases rather than murders. In this situation, it might just keep your pocketbook from sobbing more than Trump at a vegetable stall. Remember, information is power. Maybe we can all survive this economic turbulence without losing our lunch money if we remain alert and knowledgeable.